nothing to do with the truth. I never met the man. Therefore, how can he make all of these assessments? Ironically, my ex-wife is always, I don't want to be assessed. I don't want to be assessed. I don't want to be assessed. Well, of course you don't want to be assessed because you don't want to hear the truth. Truth is, you're going down these roads, following this woman, deifying this woman. And this is something I want to make very clear for people. Deifying people, whether it's a leader, a president, a parent, a teacher, no good. False idols, no good. False prophets, no good. One of the greatest victories of my life is getting to know myself and digging deeper into myself. I encourage you to do the same thing. Follow this podcast and we'll do that together. So the kids were crying. They confronted her. She lies, of course. I told them the truth. I had the guy investigated. Turns out, listen to this. This same guy that sent me a series of text messages threatening to take these children from me, by the way, saying he has plenty on me to get me. Never met the man. Met her briefly, the leader. They're into all sorts of other stuff that we'll get into as well. And I don't want my children anywhere near that. These people who have such egos. Now, my ex-wife has that kind of an ego, which I call evading growth opportunity. I'm not going to evade my own growth opportunity either here. How am I going to grow? How do I grow through this? How do I keep going on this path of high vibration, which is one of the secrets I'm going to give you now? Keep your vibration high, however you do it. I just violated one of my own little, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what I did. And you can maybe use it yourself. I constantly work on my spiritual practices. And that includes laughter, by the way. I do guided laughtation, chuckle chatter. I just find as much laughter as I possibly can. And it shifts your vibration to a point where, as one of my guides, I have a guide. He says, they can't harm you. Now, let me tell you what happens when my vibration's low, is I'm going to turn Philly and attack this guy. I had him investigated. Turns out he beat her kid, or like 12-year-old, to the point where he was reported to child services, and he's telling me that I'm poisoning my children and all this kind of stuff. This is who she goes to. And I'll tell you this. She also texts me all the time with gratitude about what an amazing father I am. It was daily for a while. Now, here's my fault. Instead of taking that in, instead of thanking her, it was a lot of gratitude. Like, you're the best father that ever, I mean, just one thing, you're loving, you're supportive, you're generous, all those things. And I am. And here's where my vibration, if it goes low, and I encourage you to keep yours high. It's penetrable when I'm not operating on that love frequency. I took it and I stayed in fear because this guy's coming after me. And I responded with being testy, challenging, long emails. I remember in Hillary Clinton, the emails. Oh, yeah, that's the case with me, too. Both exes. They don't like my emails. I do long emails. And let me tell you something. I have never pressed enter and had feedback of, thank you for sharing, Craig. That was wonderful what you shared. And I am now enlightened. And I really appreciate your words, Craig. I am changed now. It has never happened like that. Not even close. The opposite. Which is one of the reasons I'm here. Is to challenge myself, look inside of myself, look inside the mirror. People go, get a mirror, get a mirror. Yeah, let's get a mirror. Ask yourself these questions that I'm posing here. Do you go after people? Do you respond with anger? Do you respond with resentment? Do you have unhealed pain? I do. The more it's healed, the better the response, the better the results. These kids got a present, active, fun dad. that they went back with their mom and they said, when do we come back to you? I mean, that's how they are with me. They just have a great time. I'm amazed, by the way, at my son, how he giggles at his little sister, who's precocious. I mean, she's like the little comedian. He just laughs and giggles with her, and he's so good with her. Makes me kind of jealous because I don't have that relationship with my sister. We've had times that we laugh and stuff like that, but she has an overall a big issue with me as well. I watch these two, man, they're bonded. But I think part of the bonding is what they dealt with this absolute upheaval that they were subjected to for no reason. Lotus did not work on self, work on relationship. She listened to this woman who said, come on, mamas, get your sovereign freedom, get out of your golden cage. Those are quotes. Mamas, I'm going to bring you to freedom. And she brags, oh, I the last time they went away on a trip, she's bragging about how she cheated on her husband and how she was dominated and all this. I'll read some of these things to you, and I'm going to send you to there at some point. It's her own words. This guy's worried about what I'm saying. It's her own words. People that come back to me go, this woman's nuts. She's whack. Your wife is following her. This is what I heard all along. Someone's like a cult leader. See for yourself. Posing, she's in her 50s and she's posing like she's on OnlyFans, just bragging about her sex life. She doesn't understand it. Anyone who comes to this is how egomaniac narcissists work. Anyone who challenges her, she knocks them down. And arrogant, so arrogant, says, I'm going to still be this way. It doesn't matter what you say. And people would say, what about your children? Yeah, what about the children, Lotus? How do they feel? I know how they feel. I experience it. And I'm pretty sure I know how the other children feel from Broke and her actions. Selfish. So deviant. She's bragging about these affairs and dominance and sadomasochism, bondage. She's bragging about it on social media for those kids to see. And if they don't see it, their friends do. And then they get humiliated at school. So when people say to me, are you worried about putting the kids in the middle? The kids are in the middle. And they're in the middle of love from their dad. They're in the middle of commitment from their dad, a full-on commitment. I am so committed to all 4 children. I can't help what their responses will be. I can only say that this is what I do. I give them everything I longed for. Of course, they're not longing for the same things I'm finding. They had a dad all along. They had support. They had money and all those things. And I just don't stop with that. The results sometimes are people run away. They go away. They don't want to be fixed or rescued. I get that. That's a big part of my issues. And then you have these children that are in gratitude and appreciation. Thank you, Dad. I love you, Dad. I love you, Dad. And this whole mutual love and games that we play and trivia and bedtime stories. I'd like to make a joke. It was like I was a delinquent growing up. I didn't have a dad. Criminal. Maybe that's part of my karmic equation. I think that sometimes. And my bedtime stories, they're supposed to end in happily ever after. My stories end in, and then the cops came. So I went away after that trip, and I remember this. I was literally at the time in very high vibration and sending her messages with prayers, adulation for her, appreciation for her. We were married at the time and had been through some hell, which we're going to get to that. Whew. Wow. The moves that she has made are extraordinary and not in a good way. Maybe they are in a good way because I get to grow, learn, divorce to get the freedom that apparently I must have needed. Maybe she was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Maybe I was in denial. Probably it looks like I was. Never did I think, yes. Oh, okay. That's it? He was supposed to remind me of something. He's listening to this now, and Maybe he'll remind me the next time what he was supposed to remind me, open the door. But anyway, I need a timekeeper sometimes. I need help. So I was away in New York on work, calling with these affirmations about us and family. And we had sold the house, and finally we got someone. We're renting finally, and the other house was empty. That was scary. Months and months of mortgage payments, of which, by the way, I'm full breadwinner. None of the schemes, by the way, for the multi-level marketing, she's been in 7 businesses with broke, and only broke. Only the money that comes from me, which they call community property in California. That's how it works. And if I sound cynical, I am. And it's not sexist. I could be the other way around. Whoever earns the most money, the other one gets half, no matter what. Crazy law, in my opinion. Crazy. I work my ass off, especially after the pandemic. I was shut down from comedy. I had to do pivot after pivot. And yes, just being resilient, teaching this to the kids through actions. Well, she's off and making posts about herself and these vanity posts. And look at how I look and look what I like. I kept saying to her, show me the business plan. No, would not do it. Taking a coaching program for $9,000. I already bought it. I said, no, I'm saying no. And I realized, but no rights. I have no rights. What am I going to do to stop her? Did whatever she wanted to do. But here's what was just devastating. We finally had the sale of the house go through, and right at the last minute, I was a little suspicious. So I said, oh, let's record ourselves. We're not going to touch the money. If it goes over $1,000, let's make a commitment on film that we're not going to touch the money from the profits of this house, which was pretty good profit. A house that I bought before I knew her. I signed her name on the papers, giving her the house as well, even though it was bought. And I also had a joint bank account. Instead of keeping in my name, blah, 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 I could have done all that. I don't do things like that. I get off the plane. I'm so excited to see my family. I'd just been a great trip in New York. I did the Sherry Shepherd show, and I love Sherry, and see my friends in New York. Love my friends in New York. I have a great time. Anyway, she said, read your email. I got a text message. Supposed to pick me up at the airport. I read the email. It says, I have left. I took the children and I left. She took them to the safe house, so I didn't know where they were. Took their phones so they couldn't get in touch with me. And she changed the password on the bank account and stole the money from the house that I purchased before I knew her. And when I knew her, she lived in a tree house with no running water. 40 yards away, she'd walk to the toilet. And when people judge my reactions to things, I'm going to venture to say you don't have empathy. I'm going to venture to say that you're living in some denial yourself. You don't want to look at truth. The truth is, that's a really bad thing. I read on Broke's Facebook wall, there's a man who claims that I have broken up his marriage. Oh my God, she's so cocky and arrogant. She knows nothing. And I read one post that said, Lotus didn't leave that marriage. She escaped. Escaped. As if she was in this prison. Called it a golden cage. She would cry, I'm in a golden cage. By the way, I'd like to be in one for like a minute. Now, I'm going to have to look at my role in that, and we're going to continue to do that. But it didn't stop there. This deceit, secret maneuvers behind my back has continued to this day. 2 years later. So I'm going to let you in on something